Hey lovelies. So you know when you hear about the moon being in this sign and you're still a little bit confused on how that's affecting you, or when people say Mercury's going in retrograde or Venus is doing this and you're still not sure what that has to do with you, I'm gonna let you guys know. So I have the May 2025 astrology breakdown. What are the planets doing up there? How are they talking to each other? And how is that affecting you based on either your zodiac sign or your natal chart if you know your placements? My name is Jay, and I'm going to start doing this again on the channel every single month. I'm going to let you guys have it here on, for everyone's access first. And then I will leave it to be only for my members again on Patreon. So if you are a member on Patreon, thank you so much for watching. You might be watching along with your version of the calendar right in front of you. And you also have access to that journal reflection where you guys will be able to write each day what you did that day, all the way down to what you ate, to how much money you spent, how much money you made, all of that. You have your own May vision board and a breakdown of all of the transits. So you guys will be learning the transits with me with your own experiences. So yeah, if you want to access that, there are certain tiers on Patreon where you can get that for free. And otherwise, you can follow me here onto Etsy where I have it for purchase. Okay, so you can go on there and you can actually look at all of the contents that are there, how many pages there are. This is for all zodiac signs, of course, and I will be laying out which specific placements this month are going to be most affected and why. So that is a great opportunity for you guys that are interested in astrology to learn with me, but to also have a resource that you can use throughout the entire month. So yeah, and then it's also here on Patreon if you guys want to go take a look. I do a bunch of stuff on there, even for free members. So I haven't decided if I'm going to make the actual journal reflection available to anybody just yet. But the calendar, like I said, if you want to purchase it or be a member to access, feel free. So here's the rundown for today. I am first going to be doing this intro like I am right now. Then we're going to do a quick overview just by week, and that'll be pretty brief. And then after that, I will actually break down every single day in May, what's going on with those planets, what are the most or the major aspects that we should be paying attention to, again, which zodiac signs will be affected and why, as well as which specific placement. So you may have a Taurus sun, but there could also be a Taurus Mercury placement that might be impacted, or a Scorpio Mars that might be impacted when we have that Scorpio full moon and stuff like that. So I will be breaking those down by the day based off of what's in your chart, as well as by modality. So that is whether or not you are a fixed sign, a mutable sign, or a cardinal sign. Okay, now after we break that down, I'm going to be showing you guys what's going on with the moon each day. So the moon typically stays in a sign for about 2 days. And so I'm going to show you guys how to plan your schedule based off of the moon, because the moon affects how we feel. So are we feeling grumpy that day? Are we agitated? Are we feeling optimistic? Are we feeling like we can go and conquer the world? That really a lot of the time can be controlled by that. And if you have a specific moon placement in your chart, when that moon is coming, when we're in that phase, it will definitely affect you. So I'm going to show you guys when that's going to happen, and you'll have the visuals to follow along with me. I will be showing you guys the cut version of the calendar while we go through it, but again, those that purchase it will get the full 50 plus pages, and then the journal reflection book as well. And that's printable too. And then after we do that, we're going to talk about a crystal list. So I have a crystal list that I do every single month where you guys can utilize these throughout the day. I'm going to again tell you which specific days to use them for and why those properties will help you. So you guys, again, are learning the spiritual knowledge and not just being told what to do, but you can actually have a resource that shows you it throughout these months coming. Okay. In week 1, the signs that are going to be the most affected. So we have Leo, Taurus, Pisces, Capricorn, Scorpio, and Aquarius. If you have that anywhere in your big 3, we're going to talk later. Okay, so we begin May with this quiet but fate-driven opening. On the 1st, Uranus forms a sextile to the North Node. And I have some notes here, so if you see me, whatever, I have them here. Yeah, so Uranus is going to be sextile to the North Node, and then we're going to be having these sudden realizations about our life path. So you may not see the outcome yet, but redirection is going to be on the way. So just know between that first week, you're going to have a few days from the 1st to the 4th where you're just kind of feeling like something needs to change, but you're not sure what it is yet. And then on the 4th, you know, there's that bold action and expressive movement that is called for when we have that first quarter moon in fiery Leo. You know, Leo, especially being a fire sign, but Leo itself is all about expressing yourself in whichever way you see fit without changing yourself or, you know, compromising on whatever it is that you want to do, right? So then that same day, though, we also have Pluto stationed retrograde in Aquarius, and it's going to be in Aquarius, I'm pretty sure, until like 44 or something like that, 2043 or 44. Correct me, I don't have the exact date down, but it's going to be there for a while. So, you know, this is going to be a time when it first hits, though, for us to really be turning inward. And this marks the start of just the beginning of a really deep internal journey during May. So this is going to be a month about our own identity and as well as how we relate to other people as a collective. And that is because as we move through the end of May, Mercury will move into Gemini, and as the sun will move into Gemini too. So all of the energy from Taurus, where we're slowing down in a grounded way in the beginning of the month, will shift completely. So now that segues us into week 2. Things are going to change. Week 2 is going to be from May 10th to the 14th. And this is when we're going to be having these slow, deep feelings and a lot of spiritual blur because of what's going on with Mercury as well as the full moon that comes. So Mercury is going to move into Taurus on May 10th, and that's going to be a time where we want to ground our thoughts. It's going to start pulling us towards more practical matters like money, safety, values. And then on the 12th, the Scorpio full moon peaks, and it is one of those moons where emotional truths surface. And that's because it is 1 in a water sign, and 2 because it is in Scorpio, the sign of purging, the sign that is ruled by Pluto itself, as well as Mars influence there. And Scorpio is all about getting it all out there on the table. So there's no cover-ups there, not even with yourself. So expect on May 12th to spend some time alone. Okay, I don't know if you reflect doing meditation, if you need to go take a walk on that day or something like that, but you definitely want to plan some time during that day to just do something with yourself and think about you as a person, just you alone. Okay, and where you could be more honest with yourself. You know, which area of life could you be more honest with yourself right now? That's what's going to happen on that day. Then on May 13th, we can take a deep breath because we have a stable moment when the sun forms a positive aspect, a sextile to Saturn. So this is a blessing when it comes to planning for our long-term future, our own commitments. And then right after that, boom, again, on the 14th, we get some fog thrown in the mix, obviously, as Jupiter squares Neptune. So what does that mean? A square is one of those aspects where it is tension that leads to something good in the end. So it's like obstacles that we need to like either build our character or it's just a part of our own path, right? So we can't avoid squares just like we can't have too many sextiles or have too many trines. These are just the way that the planets move, and we go with the ebbs and flows of it, just like as if you were in the ocean and, you know, you're trying not to, I'm hearing this word, it's not in English, well, but just like when you're in the ocean, you don't want to drown, right? So you have to go up and down with the waves. It's the same thing when we're doing astrology and we're looking at the transits. These planets are talking to each other, and it does kind of affect us. And we are going to be looking at the moon later on as well as to how that plays into the emotional aspect of it, because this is just speaking to our own path, but there is an emotional part to this too. So there's a little fog in the mix when we have that square, which is a little bit of a difficult aspect that is meant to lead to our own personal growth with the Jupiter talking to Neptune. Our dreams on that day, so May 14th might be a little overwhelming. Just be patient with yourself that day because Neptune really throws a wrench in a lot of things. So my signs that are going to be affected for week 2, you could have this in your big 3. So that's your sun, your moon, or your rising. We're going to talk deeper about which specific placements and which days later on in this breakdown. But so week 2, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, so my earth signs. We also have a little bit of Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius there that will be affected by some of those things going on. So I'll break that down for you later. Mark your calendars for those that have those placements in the big 3. Now, week 3. Week 3 is all about lessons. It's about healing. It's about mental rewiring, psycho-cybernetics, all that cool stuff. Specifically between the 18th to the 20th, May 18th brings us this unique double dose of like Jupiter aspects. So first, Jupiter is talking to Chiron in a subtle, advantageous sort of way, or a subtle beneficial way, letting us heal through telling our own story, really. When this square happens with the North Node presenting a crossroads between growth and comfort, then on May 20th, there's this clear mental clutter because we have the last quarter moon in Aquarius, which means it's a time for us to switch gears. And then right after that, the sun moves into Gemini on the 20th too. So, or not right after that, at the same time. So a lot is going on just in those 2 days, in between those 2 days. Again, on the 18th, Jupiter is having a positive aspect to Chiron where we are being more honest with ourselves and other people about where we've been hurt and how it has taught us to be better as individuals. And then right after that, on May 20th, we get the last quarter moon in Aquarius, switching gears with the sun into Gemini. So this is where our curiosity, our wit, our need to be a little bit more social, explore something new mentally, take center stage in our own lives. So my signs or big three placements, sun, moon, rising, that might be affected during week 3. You may have Taurus, Pisces, Virgo, Capricorn, Gemini, Sag, or Aries in those placements. If you do, I'll talk to you in a little bit. Yeah. Then let's talk about week 4. So May 24th to the 30th, just that time alone. I mean, there's a lot going on. This is a time where we need to be more vulnerable. We need to be more responsible. And we are going to be experiencing some sort of like rebirth. It's a massive week. On the 24th, we have powerful moment of heart healing energy when Venus is meeting with Chiron. And then right as that happens, Saturn moves into Aries. And Aries is the sign about our own individuality, you know what I mean? Our own independence. And that same weekend, Mercury joins with Gemini and Mars also trines Chiron in Aries. Or is Chiron in Pisces? No, Chiron moves into Aries. Yes. So on May 24th, powerful stuff is going on. Chiron is that body which talks about our wounds again and how it makes us who we are, but also how it makes us move through life, how we relate to the other people around us. Do we feel understood? Where do we feel most misunderstood and hurt? That's what Chiron is. But it's the wounded healer. When we adapt to that, when we learn those things, that's how we grow as people. So every single month, there's always going to be a positive aspect to Chiron in some way where we're learning more about ourselves and we're healing. So Chiron being in Aries during this time and for the rest of the time that it is in Aries is a time for us to really be working on ourselves, who we are outside of other people, what we want outside of other people, right? So May is a really, really, really important month. And this last week alone is super important because then Saturn moves into the sign of Aries too. So it can feel tough at certain points in these months to come when we feel like we know who we are and we want to make sure that we're standing in that energy all the time. But, like I said, give yourself some breaks because this is going to be new for everybody in their own ways. And I will explain what those, those different ways will be once we go into the specific sign breakdowns, because these are going to affect your guys' charts and yourselves in different ways based off of that. And then when we throw the moon tides and, those signs into the mix, it even adds a little extra flair. So yeah, that's just on May 24th. Then that same weekend, Mercury is going to join Gemini and Mars and trine Chiron. So Mars is that planet of action. So what happens when the planet of action, initiation, and how we take leadership in our own lives starts talking to the planet of our wounds in our identity? Well, it offers us a time to be more clear with ourselves, to be more courageous, and to find our own mental spark again. Then on May 26th, the new moon in Gemini ushers in, followed by another positive aspect of Saturn sextiling Pluto this time. Now, Pluto is that body where that planet that talks about shredding everything down and starting over, essentially. So what happens when the planet of Saturn that teaches us hard lessons that are meant to make us more successful, meant to make us more mature, to make us manage ourselves better, to take care of ourselves better? What happens when that planet starts talking to the planet of tearing stuff down and starting over? So it can start quiet with the Saturn, more reserved energy, but then it gets more potent and it starts asking ourselves, we start asking ourselves, what do I want to commit myself to? And how is that going to work towards my own evolution? So there's these really deep moments on May 27th, May 26th, those days where we're just thinking about stuff like that. So those days specifically, these ones that I'm mentioning, are going to be the days where you really do want to take use or make use of those daily journals, because these are going to be things that you're probably going to be working on for quite some time after. And especially during these next few months. And once we move into Leo season, when everyone's going to be feeling confident, wanting to be putting themselves out there more and enjoying other people, right? So yeah, May 26th, May 27th, important things. Now, then on May 27th, this magical Venus to Jupiter sextile happens. So another, kind of positive aspect there. It's a gift of love. It's a gift of beauty. It's a gift where you're feeling better and the people around you are connecting with each other on a real, almost like magical level. So that's a really positive aspect. You guys might be feeling really great that day. If you want to do something with your friends, if you want to plan a date with your partner or something like that, May 27th is going to be a great day to do that. Now we're going to close out the month with May 30th, and this is when Jupiter is going to be biquintile to Pluto. And this is a subtle aspect, but it is meaningful, and it is a big way to close that whole aspect of realigning to our own identity and who we truly are. So week 4, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but the placements, sun, moon, rising, that might be affected, and any other placements that might be there, I will mention that as well. Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, Aries, Gemini, Sag, and Pisces. So a lot during that last week, because there's a lot going on with the planets. All right, so my Leo, Taurus, Pisces, Capricorn, Scorpio, or Aquarius placements. Let's talk about week 1. So May 1st, we have Uranus sextile the North Node, and this energy feels spontaneous, it feels insightful, it feels electric. So Taurus, Capricorn, Pisces, and Scorpio placements, this is going to be tapping into you the most, and it's because of Uranus. This is a planet of when you're forward thinking, when you're disrupting. And so it is aligning you closer to your North Node energy, which is your destiny. So take a look at what sign your North Node is in as well, and maybe that will give you some hints of what's a part of this new path for you. So again, this is the cosmos with this aspect and nudging those placements, Taurus, Capricorn, Pisces, and Scorpio, towards something unexpected but meant for you ultimately. The North Node is when we are moving to, is what we are moving to in this lifetime. Our South Node is what we were in a past life. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say something unexpected or something new to you that is meant for you, your destiny, your path. Now, fixed in water signs specifically, so that is, again, Scorpio, Taurus, but it also includes Aquarius there, and Leo. Now, water signs, that is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. If you have those in your charts, you may be experiencing some sudden clarity, moments about what you truly value, what you feel like your purpose is, next steps. You might be having moments like that. So write them down during that first week between May 1st and May 5th. Now on May 4th, during this first week, we have our first quarter moon in Leo. So of course, Leo is going to be affected, but anyone else who has Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio in their chart, this moon phase is going to get you to act. But with it being in Leo, not only acting, but acting bold, okay? Acting with your whole heart. This is where we feel that pull, but also a little bit of tension between what is comfortable for us and where we could be more courageous in our lives. So those specific placements that I just mentioned, look out for that. You may be feeling called to be more visible or to speak your truth with a dramatic flair. So let your passion lead. And I want to make sure that I'm making it clear here. By no means, are you not going to be experiencing these feelings if you don't have these placements. It's just, if you do, this is going to be a time where you're going to pay attention, just like how last month it might have been a different group, right? So, yeah, this is all about speaking your truth with a dramatic flair and letting your passion lead. So if there's a day where you need to go do an interview, if there's a day where you need to impress a boo or impress your crush or, whatever it is, have an event, do it on the 4th, because not only you're going to be feeling confident, but people are going to be drawn to you too. So, yeah, especially for those placements, write it down. May 4th is a great day for that. Now, I want to be clear though, also on May 4th, Pluto is going to station retrograde in Aquarius, and it stays in Aquarius for quite some time, like some years, okay? So this is a quieter but deeper shift. Pluto is the planet about tearing stuff down and starting over, like I said, but when it's in the sign of Aquarius, it's about doing something in an innovative way. So tearing stuff down to do something different, tearing stuff down to do something that everyone said we shouldn't do, or that people are still warming up to. That's what it's about. So how can you do that in your own life? Oh, excuse me. So how can you do that in your own life? And how is that going to align you closer to your own destiny, your North Node path, and, stepping into your authenticity more? So that's what is going on May 4th when Pluto stations retrograde in Aquarius. It's asking you, where are you gripping on too tightly to control? And what can we transform in a quiet way from the roots, ripping it up from the bottom? And, So that is May 4th, and that is the first week 1 through 5, May 1st through the 5th. Now we're going to talk about week 2, which is going to be from May 6th through the 12th. Okay. On May 10th, Mercury is going to enter into Taurus, and this is when our thoughts are gonna start slowing down. Okay, Taurus is the sign where we're taking things slow, we're doing things in a more grounded way. We're not, in the energy of Aries, where it's the first sign and we just want to go, go, go. No, Taurus is like, wait a minute, I just discovered milk and this shit is good. Like, Taurus likes to enjoy. Taurus likes to build slowly. Taurus likes to take their time. So when Mercury is moving into that, the sign of our communication moves into that, that's when we start to be more intentional with the way that we're communicating with other people. So this is a grounding energy that is meant to benefit us. So specifically my earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, as well as Scorpio placements, because that is Taurus's sister sign. You're going to be affected. Now, if you have Mercury in Taurus, this is specifically asking you to think more practically, speak more clear, resist rushing things, and use this transit, everybody, to rebuild your own routines, to organize your finances, and to speak more embodied truth. So on May 10th, if you have to do any invoicing, if you have to pay people, if you've got to plan your bills to come out on this day at this time or whatever, do that on the 10th, because that is when we're organizing. That is when we are building structures or starting structures that we're going to keep up to reach our goals. So then on May 12th, which is the last day of week 2, we have our full moon in Scorpio at the 22nd degree. What does this mean and who's affected? So Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, as well as Aquarius, my fixed sign placements, you are going to be affected the most, but everybody feels the energy of the full moon. So this specific moon being in Scorpio is a time of emotional purges. It is not about drama. So stay away from anybody that's drama. Stay away from anybody that's chaotic. You got enough going on that day. Everybody does. So, yeah, those placements, you're going to feel this lunar moment. It's going to be a spiritual detox of a sort for you. Secrets may come up. Secrets may come to light. Emotional releases are likely. So, just let it all out. If you need to cry, I'm saying, on the day of the full moon, everybody should always take, 20 to 30 minutes just to be with themselves on the day of the full moon. Write in those reflection journals that I gave you how you're feeling on the days of these transits, but specifically on the ones on these dates that I'm mentioning, because this full moon, like I said, is a time for you guys to do those little rituals. Do have that bath, light that candle, whatever it is that you do, go for that run, whatever it is that you do to center yourself every now and again, do that on the day of the full moon. If you need to cleanse your crystals, put them in some water, take them outside. If you want some supercharged water, definitely get one of those clear mason jars, fill it with some water, put it outside, some purified water, put it outside for the night underneath the moonlight, and then drink it the next day. Okay, so week 3 on May 13th, Sun is going to be sextile Saturn. So another positive aspect, a stabilizing aspect after having all of that Pluto stuff going on. It's going to be a time where we're grounding ourselves, being more mature with our lives, with what we're doing with our day. So, how in the beginning of the month or the beginning of the week, you are like doing super great with your fitness regimen, and then maybe on some of the days you're trailing off towards the end of the week and you're slacking off. So in the middle of the month on May 13th, this is that day where you're like, you're realizing that maybe I could be doing more, or maybe I don't need to take this nap right now, whatever. So this is going to be a day where you're going to need to be productive. Saturn and the sun are going to be talking to each other, telling you to get your ish together on this day. So Taurus, Pisces, Capricorn, and Virgo, those placements, you're going to actually be supported at this time to get stuff done the most. So those specific placements, like I said earlier, if you do have like a project that you need to work on or whatever, bills you need to pay or anything that just is going to take a certain amount of time, I would say plan it on either that day that I mentioned or the 13th. Specifically for Taurus, Pisces, Capricorn, and Virgo placements, you now have a second day there where you might be able to get some stuff done. And everyone else, really, you may be affected in a positive way too. This is a positive aspect, period. But those specific signs based off of what's in their chart, yeah, those will be affected. So if there's something you want to build, something you want to commit to, or just set in motion at this time, this is your green light, or that is the day where you'll get the green light to do it. Now, May 14th, during week 3, Jupiter is going to square Neptune. So we have one of those days where there are obstacles that come up, and it's because everything is just kind of unclear with Neptune talking to Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of abundance. It's the planet of expansion, right? And Neptune is the planet of dreams, but it's also the planet of misconceptions, illusions, loss, stuff like that too. So, the fog rolls in that day, May 14th. It might be a day, some of you guys, where you're just not feeling your best. And you may want to look at where the moon is that day too, because depending on where it is and how it's aspecting, if it's in opposition, if it's in a positive aspect, like I said, like a sextile or a trine. And if you need help with that, you guys can always email me. And I don't know what this means, just email me and I'll let you guys know. Or if you want to comment here on the video, I'll let you guys know too. But on May 14th, like I said, with Neptune talking to Jupiter in that way, how we're going to get to the money, how we're going to get to our goals, how we're going to get to the happiness, it's a little dull that day. But don't worry, it will fade. So just give yourself a day that day to take it easy if you need to, or just don't put so much on yourself or so much emphasis on that day in particular to figure your stuff out. The day before, cool. But once, Jupiter starts talking to Neptune that day, that's when things get a little difficult. And you might start to feel a little bit overstimulated or disoriented. So make sure you're eating, make sure you're drinking a lot of water that day. Make sure that you are not putting too much on your plate. And then if you are getting any, positive vision, my Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, Sag, mutable sign placements, modalities there, lean into those visions, write them down, and then come back to them later. Also, if you have to sign any documents, if you have to present anything, if you need to send something out to the mail, make sure you're double checking the addresses. Make sure you're, double checking that you brought your wallet that day, your keys. With the fog, it's very easy to forget something that might be super important. So just look out for that. And if you can, and if you are feeling creative in any way that day, let that creativity flourish, and just, give yourself space to go back and correct those things later or improve it later. So yeah, if you are working on anything that might need more than one day to do, it might be a good day to start it. But again, don't put too much emphasis on it. Just create a little draft or an outline for something. Now, on May 18th, we have Jupiter sextile in Chiron, and then it's going to square the North Node. And this is a day of internal turning points. First, when Jupiter and Chiron are talking to each other, this is offering us this portal of healing. Chiron, like I said, that planet that talks about our wounds, and then Jupiter, the planet of our abundance and our happiness and our expansion in this lifetime. It allows us a time to share our own truth. And then when Jupiter squares North Node with that tension, but, an obstacle, again, that's meant to make us better and heal, it presents us with a karmic point. Specifically for my Aries, Gemini, Sag, Libra placements, you're going to be at that threshold there. And that's why in the calendar, you'll see week 3 labeled as threshold crossings, because it is really serious for y'all. Yes, so some of you guys, you might be having difficult or just different types of conversations with the people around you, those specific placements, especially on May 18th. All right, y'all. So let's talk about week 4. Week 4 is going to be from May 20th to the 31st. And the signs that are going to be affected are going to be my mutable signs. So that is Gemini, Libra, Sag, and Pisces, as well as my fixed signs. So that's Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. Let's just talk about it. This is the week of us activating our new self. So what era are we going into? Is this my soft girl era? Is this my go get the money bags era? Is this my I'm building a family era? Like, what is it? And how are we going to communicate that to other people? And how is that going to affect our groups that we hang around, the people or places that we do business with, the way we show up as a conscious consumer or not? You know what I mean? So yeah, May 20th is the start of that week where we're thinking about all of that stuff. And it kicks off with the last quarter moon in Aquarius, and when the sun is moving into Gemini on the same exact day. So of course my air signs are going to be affected by that. Libra a little bit less, but especially Aquarius and Gemini, with the last quarter moon being in Aquarius, things going on with Pluto going retrograde in Aquarius, and then Gemini season starting. And then we also are going to have Mercury move into Gemini just a few days later. So Gemini, Aquarius, of course, are going to be affected, but we also have Leo and Sagittarius. And the reason being is because Leo is the sister sign of Aquarius. So of course, when there's stuff going on in the moon and your sister sign, you're going to feel it because it's bringing about things that are similar to you, but not quite. It's like the opposite to you, but not quite. How can I explain that? Like, the condiments that go in a sandwich are all condiments that go in a sandwich, but they give different flavors. They're different things, you know what I mean? And one is great without the other sometimes, and other times the mix is different. So think about it that way. And you know what? I've never used that analogy before, but like, I don't know how helpful it was. But anyway, yeah, so May 20th, Leo and Sag, you're going to feel this need to shift things from the internal to the external. You know what I mean? Gemini season is when it kicks off the social buzz. So some of you guys, this is going to be you presenting yourself differently with other people. And for others of you, it's going to be completely changing the people that you're around completely. So, yeah. New curiosity is buzzing on May 20th. Then on May 24th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Chiron in Aries, and Saturn is also moving into Aries that day. So, you know, two major Aries events. And I want to make it clear that these transits aren't one day I feel it and then I don't feel it any other day. No, just like the moon stays in a sign for 2 days, and you can look online and see when is the full moon. It might tell you that it's actually 2 days before it is actually at its real full, you know, aspect or full, you know, bloom or whatever you want to call it. Same thing with these. So I might say, yes, we're going to have our last quarter moon in Aquarius, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to feel it. Maybe even because the moon moves into Aquarius. Let me double check. The moon moves into Aquarius on the 20th. Yeah, so you might even still feel it on the 21st. So yeah, May 24th, we have Saturn and Venus conjunct each other in Aries. And this is the time where we're opening up those heart wounds. Like I said, Chiron is about our wounds and who we are. You know, what is our identity? How did that form? Was it, and what pain came up through that? Because, you know, we do experience it. It's a part of life to go through difficult things, but to build your character and determine what your passion is, what your goals are, and what your path is, you know, really. So yeah, that's on the 20th. And then May 24th, we have that. I mean, that's on the 24th. So Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, my cardinal placements, because Aries, Chiron, and Venus, Chiron are a cardinal sign. Aries is a cardinal sign. That means other cardinal placements are going to be affected. So if you have a cardinal sign in your moon, your sun, your rising, maybe even with this being Venus in your Venus sign, you will be feeling this. But honestly, it's just a time where you're going to be called to step into your authenticity. So I'm naming different signs because different times throughout the week is when it's going to be your call to activate yourself. So maybe one sign is going to feel the effects on the 18th, but another sign might feel it on the 24th. But the whole aspect of this month for everyone, regardless of what's in your natal chart, is to activate a new part of yourself and to step into that. So and through authenticity, through transforming, through letting go of things that don't serve you. It's not just like adding on new habits, but it's taking things away with Pluto. And it's making you think differently. It's making you think in a way you never had before about who you are and who you could be with Aquarius. So it's a big deal for everyone, but again, at different times, it means different things. So that's on the 24th. Then on the 25th, Mercury moves into Gemini, like I spoke about earlier, and Mars is going to trine Chiron. So this is when your mind is going to start to ignite. I mean, communication starts to speed up, especially for my mutable signs here, because Mercury is in a mutable sign. So Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, Sag. If you have that in your Mercury, if you have that in your Mars, if you have that, you know, in your major placements, you're going to be feeling it. Expect a lot of brain buzz that day. And then later on, once Mars actually makes that trying to Chiron, you're going to be feeling empowered to take some sort of action. So my mutable signs specifically, if there's any time where you need to be a bit showy after we have that, well, there was some placement going on with Leo. I think it was when the moon was in Leo at the start of the month on the 4th. You guys might have another shot at kicking things into gear for yourself again at the end of the month, with your own courage and, you know, just confronting spaces or people that maybe in the past you weren't able to. So if you have to have a difficult conversation, my mutable signs, or if you got to break up with somebody, if you got to not you're planning the breakup, but you know, if you have to do something difficult, do it on a day where you're feeling empowered, not on a day where the moon is going to be doing something, or Neptune is making things unclear, or your message is not going to be relayed the way you want it to. Do it on a day where it makes sense. So that's really why I'm giving you guys these transits, and why I want to make this May calendar available to anybody here, so you can see what it is I'm going to be doing for you each month, and how those journal reflections are actually going to be able to be a personal experience for you to learn what these transits mean without me just spewing information at you, but you actually having a resource to use. So yeah, to close out the month, we've got 2 more things going on, actually 3. So on the 26th, we have a new moon in Gemini. This is the last, you know, major moon phase that we're going to talk about for the month of May, and it's going to happen in the 6th degree. So it's also going to be a day where we have Saturn sextile Pluto. So what does that mean? What is a new moon, and what does it mean when it's in Gemini? What we talked about Saturn and how it teaches us, you know, lessons and how to grow, but in a more reserved, stricter way. You know, sometimes it takes a long time for us to get to our accomplishments. That's Saturn, because it's like, okay, so you know how when you're watching a movie or whatever and somebody is like super talented or whatever, but everyone around them is always telling them, you know, don't forget where you came from, or don't let this get to your head, or, you know, don't be so blinded by the money that you just accept any deal. That is Saturn. Like, those are messages that Saturn would give you. Okay, so when Saturn is talking positively in a sextile aspect to Pluto, which is about how we're going to tear shit down and start anew, how we're going to rise like a phoenix, and it's happening on the same day that we have a moon phase where we're supposed to activate our new self emotionally. That is a big day. So May 26th, excuse me, that is the day where we are meant to clear our mental slate, start new ideas, start new conversations, reach out to that new partner that you wanted to, reach out to that person that maybe you wanted to introduce you to, that girl you like. It doesn't matter what you need to do, but, you know, with it being in Gemini and with it, you know, talking to Pluto, whatever it is that you do this day, you know, make sure that it's set in true intention. That's what the new moon favors: intention setting, writing, speaking, teaching, specifically because it's in the side Gemini. Some of you guys, you might want to plan a trip that you want to take, a short trip or whatever, a weekend trip. Some of you guys might actually end up taking one. But yeah, and then later that night, Saturn and Pluto, like I said, they're going to have a powerful pact with each other, with that sextile aspect there, where that discipline that you were putting into gear while Mercury was still in Taurus actually comes to play. So, you know, in the beginning of the month when Mercury is in Taurus, I'm getting my money right. I'm making sure I pay my bills on time, so that when the sun moves into Gemini, I can go out and be social. I can spend my money. I can have a good old day without worrying about whether or not I covered all my bases or I did my due diligence. So the beginning of the month of May is important, and it starts out with that earth energy for a reason, because once you start being social, you want to be able to communicate yourself in a way that makes sense. You want to know what you've been doing. You want to be able to communicate that you are on the trajectory and you want someone to join you, or you have been working on yourself and you're ready for love. Like, whatever it is that you're doing that month, you know, these dates are giving you the blueprint, the outline, the schedule, the calendar on when to do it and why, and based off of your chart. So yeah, May 27th, the second to last day that we're going to talk about here in week 4, which actually ends on the 31st, Venus is going to be sextile Jupiter. So another positive aspect between the planet of love, money, finance, the media, arts, social things and stuff like that, the law, justice. That planet is talking in a positive way to the planet of abundance, expansion, and happiness, honestly, in my opinion. So yeah, it's a gorgeous day. If you want to go outside, if you want to go for a run, if you want to go do something fun with your friends, with your family, you know, do it. This is a day where listening to music, doing things that make you feel good, taking care of yourself, take that bath, go to the spa, whatever it is that you do to feel creative and to feel essential, to feel good. Do it on the 27th, specifically for Aries, Gemini, Libra, or Sag placements. Okay, this is going to be a day where you're going to be glowing. So if you got to record something, if you've got to do anything where really your face is a part of it, do it on that day. Some of you guys are going to be having a great day for your skin and stuff like that day, specifically those placements. So yeah, just celebrate love, celebrate connection that day. It's a really nice way to close out the month. And then on May 30th, Jupiter is going to be aspecting Pluto, this biquintile aspect, which is a soft but meaningful and impactful way to close out the month, with that Pluto energy there touching the planet of happiness, abundance, wealth, all of that good stuff. So this is when we start to see our belief system shift, the people that we start to see as mentor, or the people that we mentor, change in our lives. It's a real shift beneath the surface, but it's a start to something new. It's a start to a new chapter. Month of May. Which one should we use and why? Okay, so let's start with week one. Week one, again, is from May 1st to May 5th, and this is talking about those rooted shifts. So we need crystals that will help us when it comes to our own awakening, when it comes to that soul realignment that we were talking about with all the Chiron aspects. And we need something that is strong enough to help us with these deep energetic shifts of what Pluto is bringing. So the energetic landscape of May 2025 calls for tools that can help us stay grounded, stay emotionally clear, and align with our own soul's evolution. So choosing the right crystals this month is like choosing the right pair of shoes for that outfit. It's like choosing the right wheels for your car. It's like, choosing the right mechanic to take care of your car, or choosing the right location along to business. Like, crystals are important this month and every single month, and I'm going to keep giving you guys this crystal list, and hopefully you're using it and writing down how different you feel when you have these crystals on you throughout the month too, and when you don't. Like, how did you feel one day when you forgot the crystal? How did you feel this day when you actually remembered to do it? Did you feel any shift? Write it down. Okay, now what other crystal do we need? Or what's the first crystal that we could use? Black onyx. Now this crystal is great because when we're dealing with all of those Pluto aspects in the beginning of the month, this first week with the Pluto retrograde starting, and then we also have a Scorpio full moon that will catch up on us. When that energy is starting to accumulate, we need a crystal that is, again, going to keep us grounded, and it's going to protect us energetically while we work and we do that deep emotional work underneath the surface. This crystal is going to shield us and shield our energetic field while we try to connect to our inner self and our inner strength without all the mumbo jumbo from other people trying to do the same thing, interfering or impacting us in a negative way. Now, next crystal, aragonite. This is a crystal that you can use to stabilize your emotions. So if you know you're going to have a day where maybe you have to do a presentation, or you got to go be around so-and-so that you don't like, aragonite might be helpful for you. Whenever you're dealing with something overwhelming, this is a crystal that you might want to utilize this month. It's a beautiful companion during this first week when we need to soothe any sort of anxieties that are coming up while we're discovering new parts of ourselves in these intense ways. And, especially when you need a good mental foundation with everything going on externally. Now, the next crystal, sunstone, is actually a great crystal. It's like a beacon of light when emotional weather is just so heavy and it's like torrential downpour. So, this first week of May might be intense. So using sunstone will help increase your vitality, make you feel more courageous in those situations where we're actually having a positive aspect with the planets that day and we want to put ourselves out there. Sunstone is great when we need to be resilient and when we're going through periods of emotional detox to keep our energy levels high. So that's a great one. Now, next for week one, and this is the final crystal for week one, this is lepidolite. Now, I think that this is a great crystal because it's known to actually help with nervous system regulation for that, and also helping people, just like feel more comfortable trusting the unknown. And this crystal is going to be really helpful once we hit midweek. So we're moving into week 2 now, which is going to be from the 6th to the 14th. But when we have the 14th come around, we have a Jupiter-Neptune square, which leads to a lot of mental fog that we were talking about earlier. So this crystal is going to gently calm our nervous systems when all of that is going on, making it easier for us to, trust the unknown and what's to come in the future without spiraling down into anxiety or just overthinking. So yeah, week 2, another thing that's going on, we have a Scorpio full moon on the 12th. So the crystal kunzite is going to be a heart opener for us. It lets in vulnerability without fear. And, it also can help if you're dealing with any sort of grief or hidden sadness. Apache tier obsidian is a great crystal for that too. It leads to, emotional release. It creates a safe space for yourself. And when you might be dealing with any mourning or losses, like I said, May is a month where we go from grounded to more social. And sometimes when we're having these revelations about ourselves and who we are, we lose people. or we let people go, or we outgrow a space. So if you're going through intense emotions like that during any of these weeks, these crystals will be good for you. Now, week 2, we have aquamarine. I love this crystal. It's great for supporting intuition, clear, compassionate communication between you and other people. Week 2 is all about when depth comes to light. So the work that we were doing the first week underneath the surface is what we're finally able to start communicating to other people. So aquamarine is going to help you again with that emotional overwhelm, but it's also going to help you specifically when it comes to telling your truth in spaces or at times when it's the most difficult. Okay, it gives you that tender nudge to utilize such a vital skill to advocate for yourself and other people that might experience similar things to you. Navigating vulnerable conversations in May is going to be useful with this aquamarine crystal. Now, the final crystal for week 2, howlite. This is a crystal that is going to help you steady yourself when things are chaotic, when we're going through those moments where we need to be alone to process or something like that. Howlite is good because it helps us keep our emotional balance intact even when we still have to do things. So like, let's say you are at work that day, but you keep zoning out, keep howlite on you because it'll help you process those thoughts instead of just having thoughts that don't mean anything or thoughts that you won't remember later on. Maybe you want to write them down or maybe you want to remember them. Keep howlite on you. Okay. Now let's segue into week 3. Week 3. This is the week of threshold crossings. And what does that mean? That means it's going to be a week that calls for wisdom. It's going to be a week that calls for us to actually try to move through tension instead of just sitting with things, even if we're uncomfortable. So we need crystals that are going to help us with that. The first one I have for you is labradorite. Labradorite is a great crystal because it is like an intuitive upgrade that you can keep in your pocket. It helps you read between lines. It helps you transform yourself. And then in addition to that, you could utilize fluorite. Fluorite is that crystal that you want to keep on you when you're activating your third eye. Why do we need to activate our third eye during week 3? Because of everything that's going on. Okay. During week 3, we need to clear the mental fog. We need mental organization so that when we're talking to people, when we are healing these wounds, that it's not all for nothing. So fluorite is good for that. It's good for the emotional resilience. It's good to help you through that confusion that any of the Neptune squares that are going on that week will bring up. Now, another crystal, carnelian. I really like the crystal carnelian because it has a really subtle effect, but it leads to increased motivation. Again, feeling like you have a stronger vitality, and it gives you confidence when you have to make bold moves that we were talking about with those transits. So if you need anything for passion, for anything physical, keep carnelian on you, especially during week 3. Chrysoprase is also going to be a useful crystal for you. It helps open up your heart to truthful self-expression, which is the whole goal for May. And that courage that we need to center ourselves in our own soul growth, this crystal will be helpful for you as well. Now, to close out May, week 4 from May 20 to the 31st, you've got a few crystals that you may be able to utilize here. The first one is going to be a crystal, celestite. Celestite. I always have trouble with that one. Okay. But the reason why I like this crystal is because it's a crystal that you can use when you need inspiration. So if anyone here is like an author or they do anything with music, anything creative, something where they have to come up with a plan or whatever on the go or whatever, keep that crystal on you. It's really helpful for that. It brings a lot of clarity, higher realm thinking. Yeah. Now, another crystal that'll be helpful during week 4 is going to be the blue lace agate crystal. This is another one that is going to help you with those difficult conversations with that transit that starts to come up during the middle of the week. It's going to help you with emotional peace. It's going to help you with being more vulnerable and being more comfortable with that as opposed to afraid of vulnerability. Not just with the people you love, but with people around you in general. Another crystal, red aventurine, is great because it helps you stay grounded and courageous, which is what the whole goal is for May again. Not to get too redundant here, but that's also going to help you on that day where we have our new moon in Gemini. And finally, rhodochrosite. Love this crystal. This one is specifically going to help you guys with deeper emotional layers that you're peeling back with yourself. So while the Chiron aspects are going on and we're trying to heal our emotional wounds, we're trying to heal our inner child and support, ourselves with our own self-compassion, rhodochrosite is a crystal to use that for. So particularly when we're having that Saturn and Chiron stir up there. It'll be helpful when any old insecurities that might reappear on the 24th take away. So I hope that this was helpful. If it was, do let me know. I will be doing this again every single month with this new calendar and the reflection journal. So you guys will be able to actually record a few things throughout the month. So it has one page where you actually will be writing, well, actually I think it's 2 pages in the journal where you have 2 pages of a vision board that you want for May. So how much money do you want to make this month? How much money do you want to spend? How much is going to your savings? Who do you want to hang out with? You know, what project do you need to finish with work? Whatever it is, you're writing it on those vision boards to try to accomplish throughout the month. Then you have these papers, which are weekly reflections, and it splits those weeks up by the transits that are coming up and the themes that are coming up and how you're feeling, what you were proud of, what you might want to work on the next week. So those are in there, and it's meant to be used in unison while you're learning these different transits, or at least paying attention to the transits. And this is a natural way for you to learn what those things mean with your own experiences. Now, finally, it does have daily reflections as well as a monthly reflection at the end that you use to kind of segue yourself into the next month, which will be June's vision board. So yeah, if you guys would like access to that, everything will be linked below. Thanks for watching. Love you guys, and bye.